What's up guys, Aroneous here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in today's video I'm going to be going over just the basics for support-based champions. If you're just tuning into this game, you're just picking this game up for the first time, and you want to try it out, you've just installed it, then consider following this guide to the basics of gearing support-based champions. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to take you into the tavern here, and obviously I have an assortment of champions. There's so many champions in this game. If you've watched and tuned into my previous video on just the basics, I did go over attack-based champions, so consider checking out that video. Now, there are a ton of support-based champions in this game, and you're not really sure which support-based champions are going to suit your team. And it really depends on where you're going to be taking them into the game. You know, are you going to take them into dungeons? Are you going to take them into arena? Are you going to take them into Doom Tower? So on and so forth. And now with this newly released dungeon, the Iron Twins, you need to have some support-based champions. A really good support-based champion for Iron Twins, for example, is going to be your support-based champion in Ugo from the Ogren faction tribes. So she has an insane ability where she can decrease defense and block buffs on the target. Really good for Hydra as well in other areas of the game. She also removes all heal reduction debuffs from all allies, which is fantastic, especially in arena too, if you think about it. For this ability, it is on a 6-turn cooldown unbooked, but if you book it out, it's really nice. And then she has an amazing passive as well, where she places increased speed buff and a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever this champion's last living ally is killed. So that's pretty sweet. The other thing on her A3 is that if all allies are dead, revives them with 50% HP and then fills their turn meters by 50% instead. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Assuming that all allies are dead. So she does have to be the only one alive for this ability to allow this to happen. And it has to be on cooldown. So that's just one support-based champion. Support-based champion, for example, that you could get early game is going to be someone like Reliquary Tender. Really good champion. Now, Reliquary Tender is a very basic support-based champion. Decrease attack on the A1, which is great for fending off those heavy damage dealers, especially good against the clan boss. So you want to make sure you're looking at their kits, reading their kits, and you want to take a look at the different areas in the game. What is their damage scale off of? And then you're going to take a look at these support-based champions and think of, okay, if they have a high attack, then that means they're going to do more damage to you. Clan boss, for example, has a very high attack, so you want decrease attack. And what better support-based champion in early game than Reliquary Tender for clan boss? And then she removes all debuffs from all allies on the A2, then places a 15% continuous heal buff on them for 2 turns. And on her third ability, she can revive an ally with 30% HP and fill their turn meter by 30%. Now another champion that's insane in this faction is Apothecary. One of my favorite champions. He's a favorite all around. He's kind of like a legendary champion as a rare. So he's hiding as a legendary under this rare mask that he has here. And he has a triple hit on the A1. He has a huge heal on the A2. You can actually make it a critical heal. So if you stack him with 100% crit rate, then this can be a critical heal instead of a basic heal. On the A3, places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns and fills their turn meters of all allies by 15%. So this person right here, the support-based champion that has an aura of defense in dungeons, is fantastic as a lead support-based champion. Increasing your champion's defense means that you're going to survive a lot longer in dungeons. And if you don't use him in dungeon, you say you just want him for just general progression, then you can use him in arena, for example, as a speed lead if you don't have a speed lead, right? So now I'm not saying to put him as the leader spot unless you just don't have speed as an aura, or defense in all battles as an aura, or attack in all battles as an aura for arena. I'm saying if you put him in the second slot, but he's the fastest person on your team, he's going to boost the speed of all your allies, as well as placing an increased speed on them for 2 turns, which is going to allow you to take a turn first before your enemies. Now coming back into the tavern, I do also have other support-based champions, such as Arbiter, who you do get after completing missions, and Arbiter is like one of the best champions in the game for any player out there that's playing. This is like one of the legacy champions. This is the chick that's talking to you in the beginning of the game, that's telling you what to do as well. So you can get your hands on Arbiter after you complete missions. And of course there's tons of other support-based champions as well, and I do want to showcase one support-based champion that I do really like too, because you also want to gear them a certain way too based on their kit. Similar to the attack-based champions, you want to make sure that, for example, Mother Sabelli, she has attacks all enemies on the A1. That's her first default skill. So she is going to be really, really great in a stun set, and accuracy, or high resistance. And you can build these support-based champions any way you choose, just so long as it makes sense. Again, you do not want to be putting flat stats on your champions. Flat stats are not your best friend. Don't wear those, okay? Flat stats are only good on very, very low level champions where their attack and defense and HP is so low that percentage stats that scale off like 50 or 60% just don't scale well. So with an HP of 18,900, she's going to scale really well on percentage based stats. Right? Now I do have mine in damage. She really doesn't do a ton of damage, but I have her in damage because of her skills, right? Her skills are that of such: revive on death and increase defense on all allies for 2 turns, on a 6-turn cooldown, which is very long unless you have the books. And then on the A3, the third ability swaps HP with an ally. If this champion's HP is equal to or higher than the target's after the swap, fills this champion's turn meter by 40%, places an increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns, and places a block damage buff on the target ally for 1 turn. If this champion's HP is lower than the target's after the swap, fills the target's turn meter by 40%, places a 30% increased speed buff on them for 2 turns, and then a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn. It's a lot to read, right? A lot to take in. Some of these champions are like reading a book. I get it. But this is a strategy game. So if you like strategy, this is the game for you. Also places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on this champion for 1 turn. Very good ability in clutch situations. And then also a passive whenever she's killed, right? So fully heals an ally with the lowest HP whenever she's killed. Heals all allies by 20% of their max HP and fills their turn meters by 15% whenever she's revived. So if you put her with really low stats, low HP, low defense as low as possible, and just bump her up with as high a speed as possible, maybe if you can get her with 100% crit rate, as high crit damage as possible, you can build her as a pseudo damage dealer and just try to do the A1s. Now I have her with stun set, so she keeps on doing the A1 and stunning all the waves as much as possible. And an accuracy, you want her to have high as accuracy as possible, because also on that A1 she places a decreased speed. Now eventually I'm going to rebuild her entirely and just go with as much damage as possible and as much resistance and much as accuracy as possible to try her out that way. I kind of switch her gear around here and there just to see what she does, and she has really good skills. And as you can see, I don't have any books in her. I haven't utilized any of the books to make her stronger. And when I talk about books, I'm talking about upgrading their skills. And these are called skill tomes. And legendary skill tomes are used for legendary champions, epic for epic-based champions, and rares for rares. Do not use legendaries on epic champions or rare champions. Do not use epics on rares, so on and so forth, right? You want to use rare skill tomes on rare champions, epics on epics, legendaries on legendary champions. Now, let me take one champion into Arena just to showcase to you, what their skills are and how they're utilized. So I'm in Gold 5 right now. I am a free-to-play player. So consider subscribing to the channel. I do want to take a second to say, consider subscribing to the channel. I know that many of you have been watching me for a long time, so thank you so much for watching. But consider subscribing to the channel if you find this helpful by any means. And I would really, really appreciate it. It would help the channel a lot. So let's get back into it here. So I'm going to go against this team. And of course I have Arbiter. She has an increase of 30% aura. So the name of this game is Speed. Everybody has a speed lead typically somewhere. However, this person has HP for the lead, which is kind of strange to me. But so I don't need speed, although their Arbiter might be faster than I think. Okay, so for me, I'm going to go ahead and filter this by the Master Vault and by the rank. And I'm going to put Mother Sibel. Mother Sibel also has an aura of 24%, which I did not note, in speed in all battles. So you can put her anywhere in the game and she's going to increase your entire team's speed. That's every champion on your team by 24%, which is massive. So I'll take her in here, and you know what I'll do? I'll take out my Foley because he's very powerful, and I'll put in this guy here. So this guy is Lonathariel. He's an HB based champion. He has halfway decent damage, not crazy, but he's okay, and I want to showcase this. Now they may go first. I may end up losing because they do have Arbiter because she's really fast. Or I may go first. We're going to find out right now. So I did end up going a little bit faster. You can see that they have Turn Meter right there. She's about to go, but I do have Basilius Roanus, who takes a turn and stuns the entire team. It's also really important to note that you have to have the right synergy on your teams in order for them to use their abilities properly. So for example, we want to make sure that with her abilities, you can read them first. I can go in with the A1 and try to decrease their speed, or I can place a Revive on Death and increase defense if I feel like I'm going to die on the next turn. But everybody's stunned. They're CC'd, as you would say, which is crowd control. So Basilius Roanus has a crowd control ability, which now allows my second fastest champion, which is Mother Sibel, to take her turn. Now, I'm not at risk of dying, so I'm not going to use Revive on Death and increase defense. I'm going to use her A1. Okay, so I put a decreased speed on one of the champions because she does have a chance of placing a decreased speed, which means this person's going to be even slower for the next 2 turns. With our other support-based champion here in Madame Sarah's amazing champion, she has a decreased defense and decreased attack. So I'm going to place that on them because decreasing their defense makes their defense weaker, which makes them easier to kill. Right, so now I'm going to use this gentleman who is my damage dealer, and this is Lonathariel. Halfway decent champion. Can we wipe him out? Let's see what we got. Boom. Almost everyone went down, and now we're just going to pick off the rest of them. So he does have an unkillable Swift Parry, so he has Swift Parry. We're hoping that this ability from Madame Saris can remove that, which we weren't able to. So we're just going to A1. Basilius Roanus was able to strip it easily. He has high enough accuracy, and there you go. That one's done. So that's kind of a support-based champion in the arena, for example. And I want to showcase one champion that's a support-based champion, how I would gear them. So let's take this really weak champion right here, who personally I would never use because I'm a lot higher level than most of you out there if you're just starting out in the game. However, this is just for demonstration purposes. Wagonbane. Wagonbane, as you can see, is a rare support-based champion, and on the A1, he attacks one enemy, 35% chance of placing a large version of the decreased accuracy for 2 turns. Now, this is actually massive for the Doom Tower boss, Baumel. Baumel needs to have a decreased accuracy early, mid, late game because Baumel is going to be one of the hardest champions that hardest enemies you're going to be fighting throughout the game. And you don't end up fighting him until about level 45 or higher. Most people don't even go after Baumel until they're like level 60. Going on to the A2, attacks one enemy and places a 7.5% continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns. Okay, that's very nice to keep them alive. Now it's only on one ally, and it's only with the lowest HP, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a very weak ability. Now on the A3 here, his third ability, attacks one enemy, 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense for 2 turns, also has a 75% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%, which is really good on a single target. So you could consider him being used against the spider boss. You can consider him being used against Bommel. Now personally, against Bommel it's not going to be great because decreasing his turn meter means that he's going to drop more bombs, which could kill you faster. You could also use him against other Doom Tower bosses. Spider specifically came up because it's decreasing turn meter by 15%, and the spider hits really hard early game and mid game. So yeah, halfway decent champion. How would I gear this champion though? As you can see, he doesn't really have good stats. Again, I really wouldn't use this person. Iron Twins, he's good because against Iron Twins, dropping the accuracy on Iron Twins is super helpful. Again, he's one of the only rare base champions that has the big version of decreased accuracy in his kit. So I would more than likely build him something like this. So here's the build on my Wagon Bane. Of course, I had a couple of pieces of gear that were already maxed out, and he's only rank 3, so he has room for growth and improvement. But just kind of taking a look at this champion again really quickly at his stats. Right now he only has 9,000 HP, he's got 185 speed, he's got 139 resistance and 224 accuracy. 224 accuracy is going to allow him to be able to land in basically every dungeon in the game, other than certain levels of the Iron Twins. And of course, as time goes on, I would rebuild this champion, make him stronger and stronger based on the gear that I'm acquiring. So there you have it, guys. That's how you would gear a support-based champion and kind of the direction you want to take based on his kit or her kit on the champions that you own. If you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments down below. Again, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope this helped you out, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.